All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving, and I mean literally diving, thousands of feet below the ocean's surface. Why? Because there's a new kind of gold rush happening down there, and it's at the center of a huge, hidden conflict that could change our planet forever. So, let me ask you a question. What's powering the phone in your hand right now? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer is unbelievably complex. The metals inside that phone, the metals in the batteries of electric cars, they're at the very heart of this high-stakes debate about, well, about tearing up the bottom of the ocean. You see, this whole story isn't some simple good guys versus bad guys situation. Not at all. What we're actually looking at is a massive clash between two things the world desperately needs right now. And this is where it gets really tricky. On one side, you have the green transition. It absolutely requires a colossal amount of specific metals for all those batteries and renewables. But on the other side, the place where those metals are just sitting there ready to be picked up is one of the most fragile, unknown ecosystems on Earth. We're facing a future where solving one crisis might just create a brand new one. And these right here, these are the building blocks. This is the treasure everyone is after. Cobalt, nickel, manganese. They're all just lying on the deep ocean floor in these weird potato-sized chunks called polymetallic nodules. And believe me, the race to scoop them up is officially on. But what exactly is this place we're talking about mining? I mean, what kind of world is really hanging in the balance here? Because I'll tell you, it is far from just being empty, dark water. 70%. Just think about that number for a second. That's how much of our planet is covered by oceans. And it's not just a big body of water. No way. It's Earth's beating heart. It regulates our climate, it soaks up carbon, and it provides food for billions of people. Now, here's the part that is just staggering. Less than 20%. That's how much of that vast ocean floor we've actually mapped in any kind of detail. We are seriously proposing to start a massive industrial operation in a place we know less about than the surface of the moon. It's kind of wild when you think about it. We're talking about a world that is completely alien to us, the midnight zone. It's a realm of just crushing pressure and total, absolute darkness. But it's not empty. It's punctuated by these eerie, beautiful glows from bioluminescent creatures, animals that have evolved in total isolation for millions of years. It's basically a science fiction movie that's actually real. And is home to some of the most incredible life you can imagine. Things like the Dumbo octopus or glass sponges that are centuries old. But here's the scary part. Scientists are warning that these giant mining machines could just wipe out entire species before we even know they exist. We could literally be destroying potential cures for human diseases that are locked away in these unique little microorganisms. Okay, so with the environmental stakes this high, you really have to ask yourself, right? Who is pushing for this? And that brings us to the human side of the conflict and the key players who are driving this whole debate. At the core of this whole issue, you've basically got three competing worldviews. You've got the corporations, laser-focused on resource extraction. Then you've got the scientists who are pleading for caution, saying, hey, let's study this first. And then you have indigenous nations, fighting to protect what they see as a sacred cultural space. Three totally different ways of looking at the exact same patch of ocean floor. So if you listen to the mining companies, their main argument is that this is simply the lesser of two evils. Their whole pitch is that getting these metals from the ocean avoids all the deforestation, the pollution, and the human rights abuses that so often happen with mines on land. But scientists, well, they push back on that idea hard. They warn that the deep sea is fundamentally different. An ecosystem that took millions of years to develop doesn't just bounce back like a forest might. The scars from mining, the huge clouds of sediment, the noise, the damage could be, for all intents and purposes, permanent. And for the leaders of Pacific Island nations, look, this is not some abstract debate. The ocean is everything. It's their culture, their food source, it's their survival. And their message is incredibly powerful and direct. The health of their ocean is completely non-negotiable. So all of this brings everything to a head. We know what we need, we know the incredible risks, and we've heard the arguments. So now we have to think about the path forward. Where do we go from here? And this really gets to the fundamental ethical question, doesn't it? Are we really creating a cleaner, better future by going after these metals for green tech? Or are we just repeating the same destructive, extractive mistakes of our past, only this time we're justifying it by slapping a green label on it?
So let's just imagine one possible future for a second. Let's say we get the metals, electric cars become cheap, global emissions go down. That sounds like a huge win, right? But what if it also causes fisheries to collapse? What if it destroys the main food source for millions of people who had absolutely nothing to do with causing the climate crisis in the first place?
But look, it doesn't have to be this black and white choice. There is another path. We can pour money and research into recycling the metals we already have. We can design our products completely differently, creating what they call circular economies, where nothing gets wasted. And a whole lot of people are calling for a global moratorium, basically hitting the pause button on all mining until we actually understand what we're about to lose. And so, at the end of the day, we are left with this incredibly profound and, yeah, haunting question. Humanity is standing at the edge of its last great frontier. And the choice we make next is going to determine if that frontier becomes a resource that saves us or if it becomes the final mistake from which there is absolutely no turning back.